Good morning everyone and welcome to the Sociology preview. My name is Gemma Lavelle. I'm just going to be talking you through the course today and how it works and how you are assessed. If you have any questions at any point, please post them through the question and answer and we'll get back to you at the end. Okay, so I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about me. I've been teaching sociology for 10 years, but I've been here at Bede for the last 2 years. My background is actually in criminology. So it was during studying criminology that I actually fell in love with sociology and decided that that was the path for me. Basically what sociology is we study society. So everything that happens in the world, we want to know why is it happening? And we want to know what's led up to it happening. So is it changes in social attitudes? Is it changes in politics? Is it changes in religion? Is it changes in how we view each other and how we see each other? But what we do is when we study society, we look at the impact that society has on our lives and how society shapes us as human beings and shapes our everyday interactions with each other. We have experts out there who obviously study society, but they look at it through different lenses. So it's like they're wearing different coloured glasses and they all see society in different ways. So you might have heard of obviously feminists who see society and how it shapes women and how it impacts on women's lives and causes gender inequality. We have sociologists out there who think society is perfect and that everything that happens in society happens for a reason, for the greater good. We have people like Marxists who you might have studied in history at school. They want us to be more equal and they don't like that we have a class division. So we look at really how society shapes us and impacts on us, but how it can create things like inequalities and gender inequality, social class inequality, and inequalities based on your ethnicity and race. Okay, so when we study society, we split the first year into 2 units. The first unit is called families and households. So what we do is we look at how the family is the most important agent in shaping your life. Okay, so you are born what we call a blank slate, and the family's job is to socialize you so you can be a fully functioning human being in society. So the family plays a crucial role in our lives. So that's our starting point for understanding how the world works. So when we study the family, we look at a huge range of issues. We look at different family types and how we've gone from the 1950s with what was seen as the perfect nuclear family, that's mum, dad and 2 kids, and how now we have so many different diverse family types. So we have single parents, we have same-sex parents who can now legally get married and adopt children. We have interracial families. So we look at, in those kind of 70 to 80 years, how society's developed and how we now have so many family types that are socially acceptable that weren't in the past. We also look at childhood. Now, childhood is my favourite topic. So we look at how childhood has changed, going all the way back to the medieval child, where children were punished as if they were mini adults, i.e. if they stole a loaf of bread, they would have their hands chopped off just like an adult would, to the way we view childhood today, where it's a very, very special time of life. We also compare our childhood in the UK and Western societies to children in other countries where they might start working from the age of 3. They might be married to an 80-year-old man by the age of 12. So we look at how there's huge differences in cultures and how really we are shaped by our culture. We then start the second unit, which is the education system. Again, arguably the next most important part of your life. You spend about 14 years in compulsory education. So we look at why we spend and invest that much time in it. So what we do is we go all the way back to 1944 and we do a timeline of education and how education's changed and how the government plays a huge part in trying to make our education system better. But in doing that, they put in a lot of policies that again cause some groups to be disadvantaged and causes social inequality. So based on that, we then look at how people perform in their GCSEs. So we look at things like, we all get the same education system in the UK, unless you are privately educated, but there's huge gaps in the GCSE exam results. So, for example, girls have been outperforming boys for the last 30 years, but boys are now starting to creep back up and overtake girls. So we have to sit back and go, well, why is that happening? What's changed that? Is it women's independence? Is it the fact that girls are now becoming more career driven and no longer feel like they need to be housewives? For boys now starting to overtake girls, is it because there's been a change in policies and now there's less coursework, which girls do better in, and now more exams? So we just take a fact, or we take a trend or a statistic, and we break it apart. We break it down, we analyse it, we look at why is it happening, what's caused it to happen, but most importantly, what's the impact of it. We then look at differences in achievement based on your social class. So it has been proven that the more money your family earns, the better you will do in your GCSE exam results. And we look at differences based on your ethnicity. So sitting UK GCSEs, Chinese pupils significantly outperform every other ethnic group. So again, we break that down and we look at what is it within the Chinese culture or Chinese families and Chinese attitudes that mean that they excel when it comes to our GCSEs, but other groups don't do particularly well. So far that's your first year. What you would then do is you would sit 2 exams, and that would assess you on anything you've learned so far. Now the exams are all essay based, so it is all written. You'll have some short responses, but mostly long extended answers. So if you do have a good background in English or literacy, you will do well in these exams. But then again, it's my job to help you prepare for these well by making sure we have good essay techniques. So we'll spend a lot of our time working on what we call the perfect paragraph and the perfect ingredients to get a really good extended answer. So don't worry if you don't feel confident in those skills. We will build them up with lots of practice and lots of techniques throughout the year. Okay, we then go into your second year, and we continue to explore how society works and how society shapes our human behaviour. So we start with the crime and deviance unit. Now this is where you've got your nice links to criminology. So what we do is we look at all of the reasons why people might commit crime. Is it because they live in poverty, so they commit crime in order to survive? Do they commit crime because they don't feel like they belong in society, or they feel like they're being pushed out of society, so they're angry and they join into things like the riots? Do they commit crime because they are very wealthy and they've got the money to buy everything, so they then commit crime to get a thrill or a bit of excitement that money can't buy? So we look at all the reasons why people commit crime, and then we look at who is more likely to be criminal. So we break it down again by your gender. Are men more criminal than women? Your ethnic group, so who is more likely to be in prison, and which social class is more likely to commit crime. But what we do is we look at a lot of hidden crime, and we look at victims of crime as well. And the media gives us a certain idea of who is most likely to be a victim of crime. And they often paint a picture of someone who's quite vulnerable, or they paint a picture of a child or an elderly person who can't defend themselves. But actually, when you look at the crime statistics, who is more likely to be victim is the people we expect less. Okay, so we really do just break down the whole criminal justice system. We look at how it works. We look at is the criminal justice system racist? So that fits into what's happening in society right now with the Black Lives Matter movement. So we look at why black males in particular get stopped and searched more than a white male. We also look at why certain ethnic groups are in prison more than others. And we really do look at, is it because the systematic racism built into our prison system and our criminal justice system? Once we've done that, we look at the mass media unit. So obviously media is a huge part of our lives in today's society. And it's really helped us through this time at the minute that we're going through, because we do rely on technology very, very much. So we look at who owns the media, and we find out that there's a handful of very, very powerful people that own the media and have a lot of influence worldwide. Now, they have a lot of influence over businesses, and they have a lot of influence over the government and the policies that the government put in place. So we look at how powerful the media really is. We also look at quite controversial debates, such as, does the media make us violent? i.e., if you play a violent video game, are you more likely to be violent? We also look at how the media represents certain groups. So we'll do an analysis of adverts and look at how the media represents women and men. We'll look at how the media portrays people with disabilities, different sexualities, different social classes. So again, a really interesting topic where your everyday experiences can be used as a discussion point in the classroom. So you can use any example you want if it backs up your ideas. So if you've watched Gogglebox, or you've watched Geordie Shore, or you've watched Jeremy Kyle, you can use what you've seen. You can use your experience to help you get some examples in your exams. What we also look at is the sociological theory. So as I mentioned at the start, your feminists, your Marxists, these are the experts in sociology. So you have to be able to apply these experts to every single topic you learn in order to be successful. So we will spend a lot of time looking at the different perspectives, looking at the different lenses that they see society through, and applying them to each topic. Once we've done that, we study research methods. So this is some nice crossover and links to psychology if you're choosing to study that alongside sociology. So we look at how sociologists come up with their findings. Have they done an undercover investigation where they've joined a criminal gang? We had a sociologist who tried to join a criminal gang and was actually held hostage for 24 hours. We looked at a sociologist who actually dyed his skin black in order to join a community in segregated America in the 1960s. He knew he wouldn't be accepted as a white man, so he dyed his skin black, showing the great lengths that sociologists will go to try and find out how society works. Then at the end of your second year, you've got 3 exams. And those 3 exams assess everything you've learned over the last 2 years. And again, it's mostly extended questions, so it will go up to a 30-mark answer, but remember, it's our job throughout the year to prepare you for that essay technique and make sure you've got the perfect ingredients to a paragraph. Thank you all very, very much. If you are hanging around for the criminology session at 12 o'clock, you will see me again, and hopefully we will see you in September. Thank you, everyone.